on first? Who's on second?
I am.
Christopher's gonna be Marsh.
I'm Marsh.
Okay.
But I've got mine.
Allison, did you bring your 2 forms or not? I can send those in later.
I just realized I forgot them. I did
It's
fill them
okay.
out. I did fill them out.
The one you signed is the one I have to have in by
I'll bring
Friday.
it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Bring it in.
no problem. Thank you.
Calendar still doesn't work.
If there's a problem with a whole pile of people's calendars, I don't look after those. Allison Nelson does, and I've made her aware. And apparently there was a bigger problem today. It happens when people go to venues where there's shop open and it picks up the shop open and restricts your calendar.
Really?
Yeah. But Allison's aware and she is working on the other house.
Sort of scramble and get ready.
Thank you for handing those out.
Sure, sorry, I didn't realize they had
And you know what, sometimes they get access,
Fun for the flowers.
Yeah.
so they'll get a full closed package.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
And then also, tend to get the good stuff.
Oh, just send me a hook. Look, you don't even care about me.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Have you got your surface? Oh, Allison. Allison.
Plug used to be over here.
My germs are on the glass.
Mine is in the back.
Yeah, no problem.
Take care. Don't worry. I took Christopher. Yeah, he thought you might come back for board. I said, I don't. Family item, and I said, would you like to drop it?
I might be Victoria by then, depending on next week.
I'm so proud.
I'm bleeding heart. It's only because you keep stabbing me and I'm still standing. So take that.
Coming back to Mexico. And I think it's always Mexico. But nobody knows
Like
yet.
being called out by John Corey.
We know the name of the person. And
Him doing that to us?
his first name is the same name.
He's doing it. I did see it.
So I was
He spoke to me that did it first. And basically, just gave it like a stump speech. About all the stuff.
Very thoughtful of you.
well, I mean, you're texting every 10 minutes.
Oh, so John Corey's up at the mic.
So if I go
He's
over
asking for my resignation.
there and see what she does.
I know I asked
I
you.
remember people told me
Why
how
I'm
disappointed they
Are you exhausted? I heard on the news about your marathon meeting.
God,
I heard it on the Victoria radio station. Yeah.
this was all crossed.
Well,
Oh, it's fun over there. Oh, welcome. Sure. Oh, welcome over. I just figured it was full. I just sit over here.
take care,
Okay.
Kate.
I'll come and be that. I gotta go.
Bye,
get that lower
Talisa.
meeting.
Thanks for your help.
yeah, maybe.
Can I grab it?
Michelle, did you get it?
I did, and so was I. And I don't know what it is.
Thanks, speaker.
Yeah,
And I
see you
have,
later.
Did you put my charger in here, Allison?
and I also have my,
No, here.
I decided to mine.
Yeah, I need to take it because. Did you run out?
So I have it all set up.
Yeah, I'll run out before 2 weeks.
So good luck dealing with all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
My fingerprint thing's on and I can't.
Yes, yeah.
So it's your device, not the, not the.
It must be, I don't, yeah. So anyway,
So I've never done it.
yeah, well, no, it's. That's what I mean.
Take it home and you have a cord plug in. That's what you need to do.
Or why is that?
Because when you do, it kind of syncs everything.
What's the matter with you? You haven't spoken at all.
Yeah, so I,
You just kind of asleep, or are you just satisfied with whatever happens here? I mean, I can't believe that. You being satisfied with something that you have no input in, that doesn't have your fingerprint on it, and
scanned
Man, what's going on?
It's moving forward beautifully close. It already has my fingerprint on it. As long as it keeps moving forward in the right direction, I'm happy. Why would I want to waste your time by blabbing?
Good, good. I like that. Man.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the regular hospital board meeting for December 11th, 2019. Before we begin, I'd like to again recognize that this meeting's taking place on the traditional unceded territory of the Coast Salish people. And with that, we'll get underway. I believe the first item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do we need to amend it for the new business item?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So I would ask for approval of the agenda as amended, and that's including HNB 1 regarding Cowichan Hospice House. Moved by Director Yanni DiNardo, seconded by Director Sebring. All those in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Ms. Legault.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next item of business is the approval of the hospital board meeting minutes of April 10th, 2019.
Thank you. Do I have a mover and seconder? Director McGonigal, seconded by Director Morrison. Any discussion on those? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Ms. Legault.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No business arising, and so on to public input period.
Public input period. Is there anybody here in the galley? I put your order in. Hopefully it arrives soon, Mr. McGonigal. Seeing nobody from the public, we will move on. Ms. Legault.
Thank you. The next item, HSR1, staff report from the Finance Division on the 2020 Cowichan Valley Regional Hospital District Provisional Budget for information.
Thank you. So this item is for information. Is there any questions for staff from the directors? Director Nicholson.
Thank you. Maybe staff could clarify or just remind me about how much money we have how much money we've accumulated so far and how we're doing on the capital front.
Through to staff.
Through staff to Director Nicholson, we don't have direct numbers in front of me right now, but roughly around $53 million.
Thank you. Director Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to staff again. I see Mr. Keeber back there. He might be able to answer this. As part of our commitment to the down payment for the hospital, part of what my understanding has been that we would put away an amount sufficient each year to contribute to our bank account or down payment, and that we would eventually get to a figure that number, that annual commitment would also meet any future borrowing requirements that we will have to do as a result of building this hospital. Does staff have an approximate number or target number for an annual requisition that will meet anticipated borrowing costs?
Through to staff.
Thank you,
Mr. Keeber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The plan initially was that we would be increasing up to what we're proposing for the 2020, approximately $10 million a year. A number of years ago, the plan was that the remaining debt would be funded approximately $10 million a year. And so the idea was we wouldn't be going up to roughly the same as, so it'd be no increase for the remaining debt. However, I'm part of the new hospital steering committee, and we have yet to see on this committee the final numbers. There's been increases that haven't been accumulated up to total. My understanding is we are getting that next week, and I received a request this morning actually for Island Health to come present to this board next week on the final numbers. So at this point, I can't tell you what that debt numbers are going to be required, but the costs at this point are higher than what we initially anticipated about 5-6 years ago. So, and that's why we went from the 7 up to the 10 as that we're planning on being, or maybe I think it's 10. However, it may be higher once we find the information out next week. At this point, I'm not sure. I can't answer that.
Director Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to speak very quickly on the shortfall regarding the Cowichan Hospice.
That's the next item.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Next time.
Yeah, in just a few moments. Is there any more questions on this? I just want to comment too on Director Morrison's question. I think we're all seeing that, especially in healthcare projects with Island Health, that the budgets are escalating quite rapidly. There was and Director Morrison probably knows this from the previous hospital board chairs meetings, that there's a heightened level of concern from all the hospital boards throughout the Island Health area. And we've expressed the concern that the provincial government and Island Health hold the responsibility for providing quality health care, and that the 60-40 funding model has worked well to this point, but at some point it may not become sustainable for local governments to bear it if the cost escalations continue. There's also was good discussion though, however, on ways to combat that cost escalation through the way that procurement is done, some of the design and build processes for the facilities within Island Health. So we're hoping that we can mitigate those pressures, those cost escalation pressures over time, but it is definitely a heightened concern as we move forward building on the hospital for sure. Any further questions before we move to the next item? No? Then I'll hand it back to Ms. Legault.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bylaws, HB1, CVRHD bylaw number 145, Cowichan Valley Regional Hospital District Provisional Budget Bylaw 2019 for first, second, and third reading.
Are we going to HSR1 before HB1? Am I missing something here?
That was the staff report.
My apology. Sorry. You're correct.
So bylaw 145 for first, second, and third reading.
Thank you. Moved by Director McGonigal, seconded by Director Yanni DiNardo. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Unopposed. Motion carries. Ms. Legault.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. CVRHD bylaw number 145, Cowichan Valley Regional Hospital District Provisional Budget Bylaw 2019 for adoption.
Moved by Director Acton, seconded by Director Wilson. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Unopposed. Motion carries. Now we can scroll down to where I was in the agenda. Ms. Legault.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item HNB1 is a staff report from the Finance Division on Cowichan Hospice House, and the recommendation for consideration is that a contribution of $920,000 from unallocated contingency funds and the Cowichan Valley Regional Hospital District 2020 minor capital contribution to fund the shortfall of Cowichan Hospice House project be approved.
Thank you. Moved by Director Wilson, seconded by Director Nicholson. Discussion. Director Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to ask for a little bit of indulgence here. I know that there is a shortfall, but as we all know, the Cowichan, all the hospice organisations throughout the world do a huge amount of good, and I'm a great supporter of them. We got involved through a tragedy that we actually had, so I will do anything I can to support the work that they do. And in particular, the one that's being built down in Duncan there. On that subject, I have raffle tickets that's going to raise money for. If anybody needs any raffle tickets, by all means, come and see me.
Well done. Director McGonigal.
Horrible plug, but I did buy two, thank you. And I encourage everyone around the table to contribute to this worthy cause. And I think you spoke to the increased costs, and that is borne in the report here from cost estimates of 9.62 up to 10.05. So it's interesting that you brought that forward as discussion.
If I may, it was a great way to get this discussion on the table and ended up in a hallway conversation with Island Health Board members and the CEO and the capital planning group. This was a recent, I guess, request, just came through about a week and a half ago, might not even been that long ago, but it was quite critical because they needed to address this shortfall before the holidays. So there was a lot of pressure and a lot of concern. And just for clarity on the staff report, it does say our contribution will go from 60 to 64%. The 60% actually, I believe, was from those hospital reserve funds that at the time. This is just coming from those unallocated funds and the minor capital budget, so this does not impact the hospital reserve program. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Ms. Legault.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question period.
Any questions from the galley? Seeing none, I think a motion to adjourn is in order. A motion to adjourn, moved by Director Kuhn, seconded by Director Yanni DiNardo. All those in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. We are late to start our closed board meeting, so